So I've been seeing an uprising of a social media platform, and it potentially being an actual competitor to YouTube. Over the last few months, I've been seeing creators switch over to this new website called Rumble. Rumble advertises themselves as a free speech platform where everybody can say what they want with no repercussions. Join me as I'll be taking a deep dive into the website's history and content, as I found some strange and downright hilarious looking videos and titles, while some are more concerning and dark, as many of these videos contain topics and comments of right-wing extremists and conspiracists. On the other side of the spectrum, there are many other creators from YouTube that have joined the platform, one of the biggest ones being Gideon and Leafy. Could this be the next big YouTube, or just another dud in the false idea of companies competing against the juggernaut platform YouTube? The creator of Rumble, Chris Pavlovski, was born and raised in Toronto, Canada. Chris would go on to work for a company, Microsoft, in 2001 for 6 months until creating his own business in the world of IT. Some time passed as he quit his job at Microsoft. In 2005, Chris would receive a message from one of his colleagues about the little website called YouTube on how they would completely take down all of the competition of other video sharing websites.
2005, I had one of my friends send me an ICQ message or an MSN Messenger message, and they're like, hey, check this site out. And it was YouTube. And at the time, my friend owned like the top 50 website on the internet in video. And he's like, these guys are going to crush me. They're well funded. I got nothing. I won't be able to keep up with the funding, and they're going to win. And, fast forward 2 years, YouTube sucks up all the oxygen in the room. Google buys them. Google puts them into the search engine, and they end up being the de facto video platform on the internet.
Chris would keep the idea of creating a counter website to YouTube in the back of his mind while it was rising. Later throughout the years, Chris went on and attempted to start a business out in India, but failed due to having no relationships or
Back to the financial services business. I didn't know anybody at ICICI Bank or State Bank of India. I had to go there to try to build relationships I didn't have. I was in a sector, in a country where I didn't have any mentors, I didn't have any help, I didn't know a single person in the entire industry. So I ended up obviously failing with that and not having relationships there.
He had also worked for a company that explored the space for a couple of years, until he put all of that behind him on October 30th of 2013 to create the app Rumble. The reason of creation of this app, Rumble, was back in 2013 as small content creators were quickly becoming deprioritized on incumbent platforms in favor of influencers, corporations, and large brands. Rumble was founded upon the principle of empowering these small content creators and giving them a platform to express themselves, referring to the introduction and change of prioritization of ads and companies on YouTube in 2010 when they rolled out the idea of multi-channel networks and catering to big artists and representatives of big companies. Excluding the small content creators, this is due to having the rule of every content creator needing the requirement of 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time, as Rumble introduces monetization right out the gate. More on this later. So the website of Rumble was created. The layout was identical to YouTube's by having the same menu layouts and features, the only difference being the color change. Due to the app having similar but less viewed content that can be already found on YouTube, Rumble was not really a competitor, for a long time anyway. Other reasons, such as only having a fraction of the employees and viewership. Eventually, the following years, according to the official website Rumble, would gain 1.2 million viewers and over 21,000 content creators on the platform. Now, throughout the years of Rumble's grind of slowly climbing up the ranks, finally paid off in the year of 2020, when they jumped from 1.2 million viewers to 35 million viewers the following month. Now, this allowed the platform for Rumble to come from a small and rather obsolete website for video sharing to coming up to being the next competitor to YouTube. Similar to the platform Kick becoming a threat to the streaming platform Twitch, with multiple big-time creators creating deals with these upcoming companies to stream on their platform. And this is what Rumble started doing, signing deals with politicians and right-wing creators such as Joe Rogan after having troubles with Spotify. Later in 2021, according to the Global Newswire, Rumble's viewer base jumped from 35 million to 71 million monthly viewers. But before we continue to the rise of Rumble, I need to bring some background information of outside events that created the opening for Rumble's success. During late 2019 and all throughout 2020, politicians of the right wing had suspicions of manipulation of Republican views and opinions on online apps such as Twitter and YouTube. According to the article from The Guardian, other claims such as Republicans, including Donald Trump, have raged against Twitter and Facebook in recent months, alleging anti-conservative biases, censorship, and silencing of free speech. Also, according to the article, many Americans believe that the claims to be fact. A 2020 study by the Pew Research Center reported a majority of Americans believing social media companies censor political views. Pew found that 90% of Republicans believed views were being censored, and 69% of Republicans, or people who lent Republican believed social media companies, generally supported the views of liberals over conservatives. Politician Ted Cruz, leader of the Committee of Law and Constitution panel, had this to say about the big tech platform. Consistent patterns of political biases and censorship on the part of big tech. Not only does big tech have the power of silence voices with which they disagree, but big tech likewise has the power to collate a person's feed so they only receive the news that comports their own political agenda, painting a picture that big social media platforms are purposely taking away their free speech. These claims and theories would only grow as one prominent figure of the Republican Party, Donald Trump, would constantly tweet and claim that Twitter and Google were promoting hatred toward his party and creating a bias. Now, after the election of Biden in early 2021, the Republicans and Trump were very upset. And Trump took to Twitter and stated, Peter Navarro releases a 36-page report alleging election fraud more than sufficient to swing victory to Trump. A great report by Peter. Statistically impossible to have lost the 2020 election. Big protest in DC on January 6th. Be there, will be wild.
Hey brother, we're boots on the ground here. We're moving on to Capitol now. I'll give you a boots on the ground update here in a few.
Hired today, I have never lived through or even imagined the experience like the one we have just witnessed in this Capitol. The democracy was desecrated. The world saw Americans' elected officials hurriedly ushered out, its windows smashed.
Okay, guys, apparently this tip of the spear has entered the Capitol building.
Jimmy, get him to the back! Get him to the back! If I give this up, they're gonna have to run doctor. It's my guess!
Serve it every day, feared for their lives. I understand that one woman was shot and tragically lost her life. We mourn her and feel for her friends and family. These images.
One day later, a brutal siege of the US Capitol had happened that left 5 dead and damaged the building. On January 8th, Twitter had made a decision to permanently take down Trump from Twitter and Facebook. Now, this would cause a great purge of other extreme political speakers, such as Alex Jones and Andrew Tate, for their wild claims and promoting not very agreed-upon views. In 2020 was the big break for Rumble, as former Congressman Devin Noonan, now chief of the executive of Trump's platform Truth Social, would request signage for his videos on the site, as the platform YouTube would not show his name when searched for. This would spark a great success, as he would gain over 300,000 subscribers on the app Rumble in the span of 2 months, compared to only getting 10,000 in the span of 5 years on YouTube. Now later, a scandal arose after 70 episodes of Joe Rogan's podcast episodes were taken down due to spreading misinformation of COVID. But the creators of Rumble had offered a crazy deal of $100 million to be given for a 4-year time span of posting his podcast episodes. The reading that was tweeted out says, Joe Rogan, The Joe Rogan Experience. Dear Joe, we stand with you, your guests, and legion of fans' desire for real conversation. So we'd like to offer you 100 million reasons to make the world a better place. How about you will bring all your shows to Rumble? Both old and new, with no censorship, for $100 million over 4 years. This is our chance to save the world, and yes, this is totally legit. Sincerely, Pete. Chris Pavlovski. Though being declined, this is where Rumble began to become more confident and bold with their deals and people they wanted to work with, starting the rise of Rumble. During 2022, Rumble would go on with this trend of acquiring and contracting creators on the platform. According to the Global News Wire of 2022, Rumble would go on to invite the creator Steve Will Do It on the platform to upload exclusive content for, and I quote, diversifying Rumble's audience to attract Gen Z viewers. Yeah, a very interesting choice of creator to say the least to appeal to Gen Z. But this would show great success as he would go over 500,000 plus followers on the platform, bringing more eyes to the site. They would also go on to team up with another company that was called CFVI, becoming a public trade company and gaining 400 million in profit that would then fund their app even further and most likely being a direct fund for more deals they would do later on. On August of 2022, they would deepen the relationship with the right-wingers by partnering with Truth Social on their marketing out to combat Google's AdSense platform for creators. I quickly want to come back and explain how the differences and advantages of monetization on Rumble are compared to YouTube. YouTube's is very straightforward. If people like your videos and they get views, and if they are not demonetized within any time your video is uploaded, you earn cash by ads, merch, and YouTube subscriptions. With Rumble, you have 4 ways to do so. Profit sharing. Profit sharing is a way of earning by giving the video rights to Rumble when posting them on Rumble's platform. But while doing so, Rumble distributes the same video on other monetized platforms and only keeping 10% of the earning from those other platforms. Another way is posting exclusive content on the platform and them keeping 60% of the cut. Non-exclusive. Non-exclusive sharing is allowing Rumble to license creators of videos, players of the video, while still keeping their rights to the video and keeping 60% of the money earned. And the last way is, well, not monetizing the content posted.
You're broke! You're fucking poor!
Now, having more leeway for creators to earn more money, they can choose what option fits best for them and possibly earning more on the platform compared to YouTube, as it takes 45% of the profits earnings with a one-way option. These options can invite other creators who post more disturbing or edgy content such as Tub or Windigoon to earn from their hard work and not having to worry about being demonetized. In 2023 is where things really changed for Rumble and brought it to its limelight. On January 3rd, they announced a new show called Triggered with Donald Jr. This is what he had to say about partnering up with Rumble. As a big believer in free speech and diversity of thoughts, I could be more thrilled to be a partner with a company that shares these values to launch my new podcast, Triggered with Donald Jr. While other big tech companies are focused on censoring dissent, Rumble is building a platform that welcomes it, which is why so many content creators all over the political spectrum are now joining them. What Chris and his team at Rumble have built is truly special, and I'm excited for the opportunity to help them grow even more in the coming years. An ever so successful pattern Chris Pavlovski has created, signing creators that amasses and have large followings like Donald Trump Jr. that had brought them over 1 million to the site. On April 2023, Giuliani had joined the platform to stream on and bringing in hundreds of thousands of viewers to the platform. With all of this success, Rumble has brought much more diverse monetization routes. You'd think that it's a perfect replacement for YouTube. Well, many problems come up when you see the app, thanks to the rather wild and controversial figures welcome onto the platform. I like to address a few major problems I found on the site that brings it down and could scare newcomers to join. Now, the first problem that I found with the website is its rather intense content from right-wing creators with big claims of anti-COVID vaccines and conspiracies around many other topics that lead to misinformation. And these are the most tame forms of content that can be found, as there are stranger problems with porn-like content that can be found by just typing in the search term prank. You can find plenty of videos that have women almost or pretty much naked in the thumbnails. They also have their own form of full stop punctuation, which is really interesting. But when clicking on these videos, they're just straight up clickbait. Now, outside the fact that this degen content is on the site, what really is concerning is that people who watch creators who create pranks like Gideon will most likely try and see or videos of Gideon's pranking people and find that shit. Now, I also typed in other terms related to this nasty topic and found if you type in other terms like porn and cum, you find even more disgusting videos and sharing similar thumbnails, but actually showing almost or pretty much bare titties or actual assholes on the thumbnails. And whatever EDP shit this is.
Kill yourself!
Now, a second thing that is rather troublesome is its terrible ads that can be found littering the site, which I'm not too surprised, as I don't think Coca-Cola wants to advertise themselves next to content like this. But seriously, these ads are awful. What are scientists afraid to tell us? A message from the church and other shitty ones that claim to have cures to diseases. Or these other shitty ones? Now, I am very much aware that YouTube is not a stranger to these shit ads, but at least we can make fun of them. These ones are just cringe.
Why are you dressed like that?
Well, I've been seeing a lot of violations in the community lately, so I'm enforcing that.
You mean like people not following your policies?
Now, I understand these ads aren't terrible, but honestly, I cringe looking at these. They did get me aware of Rumble, so they did do their job. But seriously, you could have hired worse actors than these guys.
Strike 3! You're out of here!
Another thing that I find that's really damaging the app is honestly the content creators here. A lot of them either pander to the right or are just batshit crazy.
Don't be homo.
With the recent team up of Speed and Kai Cenat, streaming on Rumble can only increase the risk of sites for young viewers. One very prominent figure causing disturbance is Leafy. Now, Leafy is no stranger to controversy or saying wild things, but his recent streams on Rumble have become rather extreme, such as very out-of-pocket stream titles, and his Twitter is a different story. Though this is just an opinion, I feel that many average viewers don't exactly want to see what Leafy's titles, his streams, on their screen as soon as they open the home page. Other creators such as Steve Will Do It and 6ix9ine are not exactly troublesome, but just aren't exactly the best candidates to be welcome to your platform. And mixing in more likable or safer creators such as Gideon and Speed on the platform could welcome more conflict than diversity to the community. The current state and what's next. Now, I can sit here and say Rumble has problems or will fail all I want, but the facts and numbers are lined up. Business is fucking booming. Rumble has been growing and been making a shit ton of money than it ever has, thanks to the careful dealing and planning Pavlovski and his team have been doing behind the scenes. One of them being Keemstar. Now, that shows how they got good YouTube connections, such as Gideon and Steve Will Do It, most likely on the platform. And it makes sense because Keemstar has been in the game for a long time when it comes to YouTube, so he knows how to find a good choice to get people on the platform, as these are, well, big followed creators such as, well, like I mentioned before, Gideon and Steve Will Do It. And I'm going to play a clip of him talking about how his relationship is with Rumble, and I feel like he highlights a few interesting things as well.
Like what actually Rumble is and how, you know, it's based on like protecting free speech, and in order to do that, they have their own servers and a whole bunch of stuff, which, you know, everybody in commentary is like against, right? Censorship and all that. And just explaining how like they got mislabeled as like alt-right when really they have all these, you know, left-leaning people there and right-leaning people, obviously. And how they wanted to get more into streaming and stuff like that, like Tap in Our World. And I don't know, I really like what they're doing. I worked out a deal with them, and I'm helping them bring on people.
They also stay up to date with internet drama such as the Nick Merck scandal with Activision, while simultaneously getting their foot in the door with their big movement message of free speech and not being afraid of taking action against big tech platforms like Google. After hosting the stream manager Tate when he was released from prison with over 500 live viewers, just to have it hidden from the search result. But a re-uploaded version of the stream on YouTube was shown as #1 search result. Rumble strikes back to Google's anti-competitive behavior through the professional treatment of YouTube is so obvious, the public is noticing. Rumble declared in a tweet the platform revealed it had contacted its attorneys and is planning on suing Google, ending the tweet with a definite see you in court. The article also adds on that Rumble's forthcoming legal action against Google marks a significant move in the digital world, potentially setting a precedent for how tech giants manage their own platforms. The case is likely to draw attention from the industry, regulatory bodies, and consumer alike. With mounting security over big tech practices, this lawsuit could serve as a litmus test for industry potential leadings to more transparency in the digital space, showing that Rumble has come from being an obscure website created 10 years ago that was only a pebble compared to the lonely mountain YouTube, to then working in the shadows, slowly climbing up the ranks and acquiring the right people for the operation of success to finally combat YouTube, as it's clearly been finally seen as a threat by Google. Rumble has had a roller coaster of events that have led to their success. It wouldn't have happened if Chris Pavlovski didn't take a leap of a long-term investment of his time, effort, and money into the rise of Rumble, from changing its layout to stand out more, to smartly acquiring cult-following creators and politicians such as Devin Noonan and Andrew Tate to grow on the platform. Though having problems such as troublesome creators joining or DJing content, Rumble has proven that to other companies that free speech is important and silencing them will not scare them into obscurity or silence, as right now their way is up and perhaps the next biggest video sharing platform on the internet.
You serious, my brother?